Hello, students. Hope you are doing fine. Welcome to AQ by IAS. This particular lecture is a part of a series on. It is a part of series of lectures on basic concepts of NCRTs of Indian polity section. All right. So, wherein we are discussing various core concepts. For example, in previous lecture, we have discussed the concept of democracy. What do you understand? What do we understand by democracy? All right. So, we are continuing with this series. So, in this particular lecture, I am going to discuss the concept of secularism. Very important concept, right? So if you look into the NCRT, the concept of secularism has been discussed very comprehensively. There are so many chapters which discuss the concept of secularism directly or indirectly. All right, so we'll keep the NCRT as a base, and we'll try to develop and try to understand the concept of secularism in its fullest terms. All right, so let us start. All right, so in this lecture I'm going to discuss following things. So first we are going to discuss meaning of the term secular. What is the meaning of the term secular, right? Then we're going to discuss what is secularism, right? Then what is the difference between secularism and secular state, right? So many of the students have this confusion regarding secularism and secular state. Like both the concepts cannot be used interchangeably. There is a thin line which differentiate between the secularism as a political philosophy or a doctrine and a secular state as a characteristic of a state. All right, so there is a difference. We will discuss that as well. Then we are going to discuss the historical origin of the concept of secularism, how the concept of secularism emerged. All right, what were the historical factors which were responsible for the emergence of the concept of secularism? This also we are going to discuss. The next we are going to discuss secular state. So first we will discuss secularism as a concept, then we will discuss secular state. What is secular state? And while discussing secular state, we are going to differentiate between the secular state and what is called as theocratic state, and a state which has official or legal alliance with a particular religion. All right, so we will try to develop a conceptual clarity between a secular state, a theocratic state, and a state which has official legal alliances. All these three types of states are different. So we are going to discuss the comparison, right? And we are going to discuss the examples as well, right? Then we are going to discuss two models of secularism, right? So first is the mainstream Western model of secularism, which is best exemplified by the United States of America. So we are going to discuss American model of secularism, which is also called as mainstream Western model of secularism. And then second, we are going to discuss the alternative model of secularism, which is prevalent in India, right? And then we are going to compare. We are going to compare these two models, right? Western mainstream model versus Indian model. What are the similarities? What are the differences? How Indian model of secularism is different as well as distinct from the mainstream Western model of secularism. All right, fine. And the next we are going to discuss, in the end, we are going to discuss the criticisms about the concept of secularism, that this concept of secularism has been severely criticized. All right, so let's start. So first and foremost, see, whenever you understand any issue, you should understand the concept behind it. All right, I believe in one thing is that the only one thing which is going to help you in clearing the civil services examination or any other examination for that matter is conceptual clarity, right? So that is the basic purpose behind this NCRT series, that you want to develop your conceptual clarity, so that in higher classes, when you prepare for civil services examination, you will be in a better position to understand this concept and write your answer. All right, so first is, what is the meaning of the term secular? Let us first understand that, then only we will be able to understand secularism or a secular state, right? So what is the meaning of the term secular? Now secular means something which is not related to religion or religious institution or spirituality. So the term secular means something which is not religious, which is not connected to religion or spirituality. That is the meaning of the term secularism. All right, so something which is not related to religion or spiritual matters. The term secular means something which is related to material aspects of life, as against spiritual aspects of life, right? So this is the meaning of the term secular, and the term secular basically signifies the attitude or stance of an individual towards religion. All right, so secular, the term secular also means what is the attitude or a stance of individual towards religion. It also involves negotiation with the religion or rethinking on the role of religion in a society. That is basic meaning of the term secular. All right, now before I proceed with this, okay, let me tell you that before we proceed to understand the concept of secularism, let me tell you that the concept of secularism is very contested concept. Secularism is a very controversial as well as contested concept. Now, what do we mean by this? Controversial meaning there is no universal, or controversial meaning to say there is no universal agreement between the scholars, between politicians, between social activists, so on and so forth, regarding various issues related to secularism. For example, some scholars or some religious leaders, they say that we don't need secularism. Some say that secularism is against the religion. Some disagree with the nature of separation between state and religion, or they disagree between the role of religion in a public sphere. All right, so that's make the concept of secularism highly controversial, and it is very contested concept. There is no universally accepted definition of the concept of secularism. You cannot find a definition which is a definition of a secularism which is accepted by everyone. No, in fact, because of lack of universally accepted definition, that's why this is the reason behind various models of secularism. I've told you that in this lecture we are going to discuss the Western model of secularism exemplified by United States of America and Indian model of secularism. So there are different models of secularism. And the very fact that we have different models of secularism, there is no one uniform model, it means that secularism is a deeply contested concept. It is highly debatable. Now, interestingly, the concept of secularism is not only criticized or objected by politicians or religious leaders, but it also criticized by academicians, by political scientists, by social activists as well. Right? So before we understand the concept of secularism, let's just understand that this is very contested concept. You cannot understand the concept of secularism in a simplistic terms. They will try to simplify it, but there is no universally accepted model of secularism. There is no universally accepted definition. There is no single definition of secularism. And while discussing democracy, also I told you that yes, democracy, most of the people, they agree with the necessity of democracy. But there is disagreement as to what should be the form of democracy. Whether we should be contented with the procedural democracy, or whether we should go ahead, or we should go one step ahead and talk about substantive democracy. Then some people argue that no, participative democracy is not, it is necessary but not sufficient. What we should have is deliberative democracy. So the way the democracy is a contested concept, secularism is also a very contested concept. All right, fine. I hope you got it. Till now we have discussed meaning of the term secularism. Then I have also told you that secularism and secular state, these two concepts are different. These two concepts are different. How? See, secularism basically it is a political principle. It is a political doctrine. It is a normative political doctrine. Right? It is a political philosophy. Secular state, on the other hand, it is basically one of the characteristics of any state. For example, we say that India is a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. Now, Indian preamble Indian preamble basically talks about the nature of Indian state, right? Nature of Indian state. Nature of Indian state. So the term secular is, when we say a particular state is a secular state, then we are talking about the particular nature of that state, right? So secular state provides us information about the nature of state. On the other hand, secularism basically it is a political principle, it is a political doctrine, it is a normative political doctrine, all right, and we cannot use these two terms interchangeably, right? So being secular is a part of secularism. So secularism is a broad concept, all right. So if you believe in secularism, this is secularism. So if you believe in, if a particular country believes in secularism, then it will have the nature of the state will be secular. There will be secular state along with other aspects, right? So secularism is a comprehensive concept, all right, fine. Then we have also understood the contested nature of secularism. Now let us discuss what is secularism. Now before you understand any concept, you should go into the history. We should understand the historic origin of any concept. For example, if you look at democracy, we discussed that how the concept of democracy emerged in the Greek city state of ancient times. So similarly, let us understand the historic origin of the concept of secularism. See, no concept emerges or evolves in vacuum or in isolation. There is some background, there is some historical events which influence the development or evolution of that concept, and secularism is not exception to this fact, all right. So now understand that secularism as a concept, it originated in Western Europe. Yes, a concept of secularism, it originated in Western Europe in mid 17th century, right? So secularism is a Western concept, right? I mean, again, the scholars argue that whether it is a Western concept or not, but still, more or less, the concept of secularism first developed as a principle in Western Europe, when in mid 17th century. Why it emerged? Which were the factors which influenced the emergence of secularism? Now, number one, the 16th and the period of 16th century up to mid 17th century Europe, it was a period which was exemplified or characterized by what is called as church versus state controversy. Many of you might have heard about this, right? Church versus state controversy. So there was from the 16th century up to middle of 17th century, there was continuous struggle for power, struggle for supremacy between two highly organized and powerful institutions in European society. One was church, which was a religious institution, and other was state. So the concept of secularism, it emerged in this context of continuous struggle for power, continuous tussle for supremacy between church on one hand and state on the other hand. Both these institutions were highly organized and very powerful during from 16th century up to 17th century, and concept of secularism emerged in this context, in this controversy or tussle for supremacy between church and state, right? Church meaning Roman Catholic Church. So the priestly class wanted to dominate the state, institution of state, whereas those who were part of a governing class, or those who were part of, say, parliament or say monarchs, they wanted to maintain their own supremacy as against the supremacy of Roman Catholic Church. So there was this tussle for supremacy, right? Fine. Next, this was also the period of Reformation. Now, Reformation is also called as European Reformation or Protestant Reformation. Right? Now, what is Reformation? Now, the period of Reformation basically was a major movement. It was a movement within Western Christianity during this period, 16th and mid 17th century. So this was also a period of Reformation. Now, what was Reformation? See, Reformation basically, this Reformation as a movement, religious, social religious reform movement, it posed a major challenge to political and religious authority of Roman Catholic Church. All right. So the Reformation as a major movement within Western Christianity, which started in 16th century Europe, continued till mid 17th century, it posed a religious and political challenge to Catholic Church. In particular, the papal authority, the authority to the priestly class. And this Reformation movement, one of the key leaders of this Reformation movement, there were two leaders, Calvin and Martin Luther King. These are the two leaders who were behind this Reformation movement, right? Now, this movement emerged because of the errors, abuses, as well as discrepancies by Catholic Church. See, the priestly class which represented Catholic Church, it committed so many errors. They started abusing their authority, religious authority. They started indulging in corrupt practices. They started living extravagant life. They started indulging in immoral activities. The members of Roman Catholic Church. So Reformation as a religious Reformation was a movement which was in response to these errors and abuses and discrepancies committed by the Roman Catholic Church. Right? Fine. Now this particular period of Reformation, wherein the Protestant sect emerged within the Christianity, it led to what is called as 30 years of sectarian war. 30 years of war. Started from 1618 to 1648. I've written it here as well. Okay? So because of the period of Reformation, this period of Reformation also characterized by ultimately it led to 30 years of war, which was a major war between the Protestant sect of Christianity and Catholic sect of Christianity. Right? And this continuous struggle led to the sectarian war that is called as 30 years of war. Now this 30 years of war is one of the most bloodiest event in the history of Europe, 17th century Europe. Now this 30 years of war led to killing of millions of people. Right? The Catholics killed Protestants, Protestants killed Catholics. Right? And in here, according to some estimates, this led to 8 million casualties. 8 million. 80 lakh people were killed due to this 30 years of war. Now, this 30 years of war ended in 1698 with signing of what is called as Treaty of Westphalia. Right? Now, this Treaty of Westphalia, I am not going into detail of Treaty of Westphalia. That is more important for those who have optional political science optional subject. But I will now just understand that this Treaty of Westphalia was signed in 1648, which ended 30 years of sectarian war. Now, this Treaty of Westphalia ultimately resulted into the principle of separation of state and religion. So there is some kind of tacit agreement which was developed as a result of Treaty of Westphalia, that the role of religion in the public sphere or in the state should be limited, or the religion and the state should be separated from each other. So concept of secularism emerged in this context. Now, one more thing which was very important in the as far as the historic origin of the concept of secularism is concerned is that this period was also a period of enlightenment, right? Now, what is enlightenment? Now, enlightenment basically was a European intellectual movement. It was an intellectual movement in Europe in 17th and 18th century, right? It was an European intellectual movement of the 17th and 18th century, in which rational and scientific thinking was promoted. So during the period of enlightenment, the emphasis was given on rationality, reason, ability of human beings to explain things scientifically was emphasized upon. And that led to so many scientific discoveries during this particular period. In 17th and 18th century, you might have heard in your science books that this was also a period of millions of scientific discoveries which fundamentally transformed human lives. Right? So enlightenment was period of use, celebration of power of reason meaning rational thinking, rationality. And it was argued that various phenomena can be understood in terms of science by using your scientific reasoning, by using your rationality, by using your analytical and logical thinking. You can explain everything which happens surrounding you. For example, during Middle Ages Europe, it was believed that Earth is at the center of the universe and all other planets, they revolve around, including Sun, revolve around. Sorry, Sun is not a planet, but understand that it was believed during medieval Europe that Earth is at the center of universe and all other planets revolve around the Earth. But later on, Galileo, there was a scientific discovery, and Galileo was the scientist who later on discovered that no, this is not true. Earth is not at the center of universe. It is the sun which is at the center of universe, and Earth revolves around the sun and not the other way around. Alright, so this was a period of enlightenment, and how this knowledge was developed? This knowledge was developed through use of science, through rationality, through logical reasoning, and this also affected. This also led to origin of the concept of secularism. Because during medieval Europe, I told you that religion dominated the state. There was very much domination of church, Roman Catholic Church, on the public affairs in the state. Why? Because people were too much religious. People thought that yes, to explain anything, we need to approach Roman Catholic Church. They will explain by using so-called their supernatural powers. No. It was realized though, no. So the Enlightenment was a period in which the power of science was realized. The power of rationality and scientific reason was realized. It was recognized by human beings, and because of this, slowly and gradually, the role of religion or religion as an institution was relegated to private sphere. So during medieval times and before that, the religion played very dominant role in public sphere, in law making, policy making, so on and so forth. But because of these events, Enlightenment, Reformation, so on and so forth, the religion was relegated to private sphere. And it was realized that there should be separation between state and religion. This is also called as privatization of religion. That religious institutions, religious leaders, they should not interfere into the matters of policy or law. Right? So, as a philosophy, secularism basically sought to interpret the human life, right? Human life on the principles derived from what is called as material world. So, also as a philosophy, the secularism sought to interpret life based on the principles which were derived from the material life without taking recourse to religion. Now, to put it in another way, as a secularism as an ideology or as a political principle, it focused on material aspects of life and not as against the spiritual aspect or temporal aspects. Right? So people, because of the rationality, because of the enlightenment, they started thinking about material aspects, and the role of religions was relegated in private sphere, and in a way later on it declined as well. The authority of the religion and religious leaders, it slowly declined, and secularism and it led to development of the concept of secularism. So these were the three factors which were responsible historically for emergence of concept of secularism. Which were they? I'll repeat again. First, church versus state controversy, right? Church versus state controversy. Then I told you that it was also a period of reformation. It was a major movement in Christianity. It led to emergence of Protestantism, right? And this led to 30 years of war. Sorry for my handwriting. And then led to Treaty of Westphalia, and then relegation of religion. Then again, third was Enlightenment. European intellectual movement in 17th and 18th century. All these three factors combined together influence the emergence of the concept of secularism. Now, I hope now you know how the concept of secularism emerged. So in conclusion, we can say that the concept of secularism emerged in mid 17th century Europe. It is of a Western origin. The concept of secularism originated in Western Europe. All right, fine. This is enough for you. Now, what is secularism? Right? Now, before we understand what is secularism, let us understand why do we need secularism. See, with the advent of globalization, with the rise of international migration, most of the countries, they are diverse today. They are diverse in terms of religion, race, ethnicity, language, so on and so forth. Right? So secularism, now, so how this religious diversity or ethnic diversity, linguistic diversity, how we should deal with this diversity, or how should we deal with such diverse population? How we should deal with a population, or how deal with a population which is diverse, which practices different cultures, which speak different languages, which practice different religions. How should we deal with such diversity? So concept of secularism seeks to answer this. All right, fine. Now let us understand. Now this, I hope this context is understood, right? Fine. How should we deal with diversity, particularly religious diversity, wherein people belonging to different religion, different cultures, they live together? What should be the response to this religious diversity or ethnic diversity? The concept of secularism seeks to respond to this particular question, seeks to answer this particular question. All right. So now secularism as a concept, it derived as a word. The word secularism, it derived from Latin word seculum. Seculum means this time, right? The term secularism is derived from Latin word Saeculum, Saeculum, which means this time, as distinct from other time. Say time related to divinity, right? So it also means this world as against, as distinct, not against, this world in as distinct from other world. होता ना, this world, other world means स्वर्ग, heaven, that is other world. But secularism, the term secularism is derived from Latin term seculum, which means this world. So concept of secularism is related to material aspects, this world, and not some metaphysical things, heaven, which are related to other world. Right? Fine. So having understood this origin of the term secularism, let us finally understand what is secularism. Right? And I have already told you there is a difference between secularism and secular state. So first we need to understand secularism, then only we will understand secular state, right? So secularism is first and foremost the normative political doctrine which is opposed to all kinds of institutionalized religious domination. क्या है? Secularism means opposition. It is a political philosophy or doctrine which is opposed to all forms of institutionalized religious domination. Religious domination can be inter-religious domination or intra-religious domination. I'm going to give you example of it, but just understand that secularism is a doctrine that opposes all forms of inter-religious domination, and intra-religious domination. Inter-religious domination meaning domination of one religion over the other religions. For example, domination of Christians over non-Christians, or say domination of, for example, Hindus over non-Hindus, Sikhs, Christian, Muslims, so on and so forth. This is called as inter-religious domination. Domination by one religion over the other religions. Inter, जैसे हम बोलते हैं ना, we say inter-college competition. Inter-college competition meaning competition between various colleges. So inter-religious domination meaning domination which happens between various religion. Right? So this is called as inter-religious domination. Another is secularism is not only opposed to inter-religious domination, but it is also opposed to intra-religious domination. Right? Intra-religious domination. Now what is intra-religious domination? Intra-religious domination meaning domination which happens within the religion. For example, in Hindu religion, some caste, upper caste, they dominate lower caste. Now upper caste and lower caste, they belong to Hindu religion. So intra-religious domination meaning domination which happens within particular religion. Now I am going to explain it again comprehensively in detail, but just understand. If someone asks you what is secularism, I have seen that the moment people are asked what is secularism, they say secularism means separation between state and religion. No. Yes, of course, secular state in secularism as a principle, it supports separation between state and religion. But secularism as an idea, first and foremost, it is against the institutionalized religious domination, both inter-religious domination, domination of one religion community by the other religious community, as well as intra-religious domination, domination which happened within the religion. Alright, so understand. So in definition, right, secularism is a political philosophy or a political doctrine which is opposed to all kinds of institutionalized religious domination. Religious domination can take form of religious discrimination, religious persecution, religious exclusion, religious violence. In the extreme, it can lead to religious violence and killing of the member of a particular religious community, particularly especially minority community. Alright, so now let us understand this inter-religious domination through examples. Now what I told you that secularism is against inter-religious domination, domination between various religions, a domination of one religious community. More or less it is usually it is majority community, domination by majority religious community over minority religious communities. What are the examples? Now Jews, they faced discrimination, exclusion, discrimination, expulsion, persecution throughout the Europe, right? Especially during Second World War, during the times of Hitler, right? So what was this kind of discrimination against? Discrimination of one religion community against the other, domination of one religion community over the other, domination of Christians over the Jews. This is an example of inter-religious domination, discrimination against Jews throughout the Western Europe. Even some kind of subtle discrimination still takes place against Jews and other religious minorities in Europe even today, but this discrimination is not overt, it is not direct, it is not explicit, it is implicit, but there is a discrimination, and secularism is against this inter-religious discrimination. Then another example. Now I told you that let me tell you about Holocaust. The Holocaust, basically it was a period, it was the worst period of German history, wherein which involved, which led to genocide, brutal killing of millions of Jews during World War II, and Hitler was directly responsible for Holocaust. Hitler propagated the ideology of anti-Semitism, right, against Jews, right? Fine. Now look at the Jewish state of Israel. Now Jews faced discrimination throughout the European history till Second World War, but the Jewish state of Israel, when it was Jewish state of Israel was established in 1949, 48 or 49, I need to check, right? So now this Jewish state of Israel, it itself discriminates against its minorities, the Muslim minorities, right? Both Arab Muslims as well as Christian Muslims. The Arab Muslims as well as the Christian Muslims, they are persecuted, they are discriminated against in the Jewish state of Israel. So this is discrimination by one religious community, that is Jew, over the other religious community that are Arab minorities, both Christians as well as Muslims. Now this is also example of inter-religious domination. Alright, now to take example of South Asia. In South Asia, the states like Bangladesh and in Pakistan and Bangladesh, as well as in Myanmar, right, there is also a domination. In fact, Myanmar is a case of ethnic domination. Let's not take the example of that. Let's take example of Bangladesh and Pakistan. See, in Bangladesh and Pakistan, non-Muslim minorities, they are discriminated against, they face discrimination, right? Fine. Now this is an example, this is also an example of inter-religious discrimination. Now another classic example of inter-religious domination is Saudi Arabia. Now in Saudi Arabia, non-Muslims are not allowed to construct their religious places of worship. For example, non-Muslims, for example, say Hindus or say Christians, they are officially not allowed to construct, say, temple or church, as the case may be. There is only one religious institution which is there, which is allowed in Saudi Arabia, and that is mosque. Apart from mosque, you cannot establish any other place of worship. Then non-Muslims cannot gather in public places for offering prayer or performing certain religious rites. No, it is not allowed. Now, this is also an example of inter-religious domination. Now, let us discuss the examples from India. Right? Now, India is also religiously diverse country. People belonging to all the major religious communities in the world, they live in India. Right? Hindus, Muslim, Christians, Parsis, Jews, so on and so forth. Buddhist, right? Fine. Now take the example of Punjab. In 1984, 2,706 were brutally killed, massacred in 1984 in Delhi and in other parts of India. These are also called as anti-Sikh riots. Anti-Sikh riots of 1984, which occurred in aftermath of assassination of the then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. Now, this led to anti-Sikh riots, right? In which more than 2,706 innocent Sikhs, they were brutally killed, massacred. Women, Sikh women were raped. So this is also an example of inter-religious domination. In this, there is a domination. This is an example of domination of Hindus over minorities, Sikhs, right? Another, take the example of Kashmir or Kashmiri Pandits. In late 1980s, thousands of Kashmiri Pandits, they were forced to flee their homes aftermath of religiously grounded violence. They were forced to leave Kashmir Valley, their homes, and they have not been allowed to return to their places, their original homes. They have migrated into various cities across India, especially Delhi. Why they migrated? Because of inter-religious domination. Right? In this case, this is the domination of Muslims over Hindus. Right? Fine. Then take example of Gujarat. In 2002 Godhra riots, more than 1,000 persons, mainly Muslims, many of them were Muslims, they were massacred. This is also an example of inter-religious domination. I can give you so many examples. Orissa, 2008, Kandhamal riots. In Orissa, in 2008, the tribal Christians, the tribals who converted into Christianity, they were brutally killed and massacred in aftermath of the death of the Hindu monk whose name was Lakshmananda Saraswati. So Lakshmananda Saraswati, he died. He was killed. It was alleged, and now to take revenge, the tribal Christians, they were brutally killed, massacred in 2008 in Kandhamal, which is a place in Odisha. Kandhamal riots. So what does these all examples have common? Now all these examples reflect the discrimination, persecution, exclusion on the basis of religion. Why Sikhs were killed in 1984? Why? Just because they were Sikhs. No, there was no other reason. Why Hindus were killed and forced to flee Kashmir Valley? Why? Because their religion. Right? So in all these examples, people belonging to particular religion, they were targeted, they were persecuted, they were killed merely on the basis of their religious identity. So, which means that the basic religious freedoms were denied to all these people who belong to all these communities. Right? Huh? Now, all these examples suggest that why and how the concept of secularism is very, very important, particularly in India, which is religiously diverse country. All right, fine. So these are all examples of inter-religious domination. But I told you that secularism as a political philosophy, it is not only against inter-religious domination, but it is also against intra-religious domination. What is intra-religious domination? Now, inter-religious domination means that domination by some members over the other members of same religious community. Right? Now, for example, untouchability. Now, untouchables within Hindu religion, they are Hindus, right? Untouchables, they were part of Hindu religion. Now, the untouchables, they were. Now, this untouchability, practice of untouchability is a very good example of intra-religious domination, wherein the upper caste, so-called twice born, right, upper caste people, upper caste members, they discriminated against the lower caste people, Dalits. Both upper caste and Dalits, they belong to same religion. Right? Fine. This is an example, right? And untouchability is the most vicious form of discrimination. It is the most abhorrent form of discrimination. It is the most barbaric and inhuman practice, untouchability. So as a concept, secularism is against this intra-religious domination. I mean, it is against, if you believe in secularism, you will be against untouchability, because untouchability is example of intra-religious domination. Right? Then Dalits, they across the India, they were denied right to education, they were denied right to property, they were denied right to enter into public places, right to enter into say temple, they were denied right to use common well, so on and so forth. Now this is also an example of intra-religious domination. And what was the basis? Why they were prohibited from say education? Why they were not allowed to drink water from the common well? Why they were not allowed to enter into temples? Just because they were Dalits. Now this is an example of intra-religious domination. So don't think that the domination happens only between religions. Domination can happen within the religion. Now let me give you another example. Discrimination against women by men in Hindu religion, for example, or say Islam. Personal laws. There is hardly any religion which treats its male and female members equally. If you look at the personal laws of various communities, even Hindu communities, before the passing of Hindu Code Bill, in Hindu personal laws were codified. But before that, the Hindu women were denied entry into temple in certain parts of India. Look at what happened in Sabrimala. So in Sabrimala temple, women belonging to the age group of 10 to 50, they were not allowed to enter into Sabrimala temple. Right? Now this is also an example of intra-religious domination. right? So women, even if they belong to Hindu religion, they were not allowed to enter into temple. Why? Just because they are women. Now this is also an example of discrimination. There are also example of other communities, right? For example, triple talaq, right? Then inequality between men and women as far as grounds of divorce is concerned in Islam, for example, right? In personal Muslim personal laws, right? So secularism is against all these kinds of intra-religious domination, right? So that's why if you look at various recent cases, Sabrimala case or any other case, right, there is a reference of secularism in that, right? So now what did we conclude from our discussion on secularism? So secularism is against all forms of institutionalized religious domination, and religious domination cannot be identified with inter-religious domination. Religious domination can also take form of intra-religious domination, right? So secularism as a political philosophy, it is opposed to all kinds of institutionalized religious domination, both intra-religious domination and inter-religious domination. So put it positively, secularism as a political philosophy, it believes in inter-religious and intra-religious freedom and equality, right? So secularism as a concept, it is opposed to all kinds of institutionalized religious domination. Now same thing can be put positively, that secularism as a principle, it promotes both intra-religious and inter-religious equality. It promotes religious freedom. This is secularism, right? So as a philosophy, secularism is against religiously grounded or religiously based discrimination, domination, exclusion, persecution, violence, etc. Secularism meaning belief in equality between religions and equality within religion. That is the concept of secularism. That is the meaning of secularism, right? So two ideas which are very important: freedom and equality. And what type of freedom and equality? Religious freedom and equality. So secularism supports religious freedom, freedom to practice, freedom of conscience, freedom to practice, profess and propagate religion of one choice, so on and so forth. It also supports religious equality. All religions are considered as equal, right? Fine. Now I hope this is clear, right? Now let's move forward and discuss the concept of secular state. Right? Now how to ensure secularism, how to prevent inter-religious and intra-religious domination. What kind of state? See, a country can have different goals, but the nature of state is very important to whether that country is going to achieve those goals or not. So what kind of state we need? What kind of state is necessary to realize these goals of prohibition of inter-religious and inter-religious domination, or promotion of intra-religious and inter-religious freedom and equality, right? How we can basically prevent intra-religious and inter-religious domination? Now some argue that one way of preventing intra-religious and inter-religious domination or persecution or exclusion or discrimination is education. That if you educate people, they will become enlightenment. Okay, they will enlightened, right? Education is a tool of liberation. It has liberating impact. So if you educate people, if you tell them that yes, this is secularism, this is very important concept, so on and so forth, then there will be automatically there will be intra-religious and inter-religious equality or freedom. No. Now education is necessary but not sufficient condition to ensure intra-religious and inter-religious equality and freedom. Now for example, can you say that if every Indian is given education, then violence against women will end? Will education solve all the problems which Indian society face? No. Education is necessary, yes, of course it is necessary, but it is not sufficient. Along with education, you need to have certain other things as well, right? So education is necessary, right? So education or propagating various positive values through education system is one way of preventing the discrimination against religious community. Education is one way of changing mindset of the people, behavior of the people, attitude of the people towards people belonging to other religions, but it is not enough. Nature of the state. What is the nature of state? Plays very important role in ensuring intra-religious and inter-religious equality between religions and equality within religions. In order to ensure this, state, nature of state is very important. What kind of state you have plays very important role in ensuring equality between religions and equality within religions. Okay? Why nature of state is important? Because modern nation states, they are very powerful. They have enormous power. They have enormous public power. That's why how state function or what is the nature of state plays very important role in achieving these two goals of equality within religions and equality between religion. Right? Fine. So nature of state is very important to prevent intra-religious and inter-religious conflict, or to put it positively, to ensure religious harmony, to ensure peaceful coexistence between different religious communities. Right? So we need to understand what kind of state we need to achieve these goals or to prevent this sort of domination or discrimination. So in this context, let's discuss secular state. What are the characteristics of secular state? All right. Now understand that yes, secular state basically a state which prohibits or which prevents intra-religious and inter-religious domination. But how secular state can prevent domination of any religious groups? The first condition of secular state is that the secular state, for a state to prohibit any domination by a particular religious group, a state must not be run directly by the heads of particular religion. Let me repeat. One way of ensuring intra-religious and inter-religious equality is to prohibit a state which is run by heads of any particular religion. Meaning state should not be run or administered or ruled or governed by heads of a particular religion. Right? Now the state which is governed by heads of a particular religion, or a state which is governed by priestly class, a state which is governed by heads of a particular religion, religious community, or priestly class, it is called as theocratic state. So secular state is not a theocratic state. Secular state is a state which is not run directly by heads of a particular religion. Right? So secular state is not theocratic state. Right? So in order to ensure secular state, it should not be governed, ruled, administered directly by religious leaders. and a state which is governed directly by religious leaders, heads of religious, head of a particular religion, then that will be called as theocratic state. Now, what are the examples of theocratic state? Iran, modern times, modern Iran is a classic example of theocratic state. Now, in Iran, Ali Khamenei, it is a supreme leader. He is the supreme leader of Iran, who is the highest political and religious authority in Iran. He is the one who has ultimate decision making power, both political and religious authority within Iran. Right? So Iran as a state, it is directly governed by heads of a particular religion, and that is Shia religion. And who is that head? Ali Khamenei. That's why Iran is a theocratic state. It is not a secular state. Then Taliban controlled Afghanistan from 1996 to 2001. See, 1996 to 2001 was a period in the history of Afghanistan wherein Taliban leaders ruled Afghanistan. So Taliban controlled Afghanistan of 1996 to 2001. It is an example of theocratic state. Why? Because heads of a particular religion, Islam religion, these religious leaders were members of Taliban as a religious organization. So leaders of Taliban as the religious leaders, they rule the Taliban, they rule Afghanistan. So this was also an example of theocratic state. And in fact, Taliban wants to establish theocratic state in Afghanistan. Alright, fine. So next example of theocratic state, for example, in India, it is written that Brahmins will rule, or Brahmins will become prime minister. If the constitution says this, then India will also be called as theocratic state. Why? Because I told you that theocratic state is a state which is governed directly by heads of a particular religion. Theocratic state is a state which is governed directly by religious leaders. Right? So these are the examples of theocratic state. So secular state is a state which is not governed by religious leaders. Alright, next. Meaning, secular state is a state where there is separation between state on other hand and religion on other hand. See, when we say that secular state is a state which is not directly run by heads of particular religious leader, it means that there is separation between rulers and religious leaders. Political leaders and religious leaders are not one and the same. Meaning there is separation between state and religion. Right? But is the separation between state and religion is enough? So secular state is a state where there is separation between state and religion. Right? And from where we develop this idea of separation between state and religion? From the idea that secular state is a state which is not governed by the heads of a particular religion. Meaning secular state is a state wherein there is separation between political leaders, political authority and religious authority. Meaning secular state is state wherein there is a separation between state on one hand and religion on the other hand. Right? So this is how we have to understand the concept. Don't straight away say that secularism meaning separation between state and religion. No, try to develop your arguments slowly, gradually. Try to connect various concepts, right? So now, do you think that the separation between state and religion is enough? Do you think that the separation between political authority and religious authority is enough? No. Why? Why? Because, so in this context, it is very important to understand that the secular state should not be a theocratic state. But at the same time, secular state is a state which does not have any official, formal or legal alliance with a particular religion. Okay? So there are many states. See, I told you secular state means state which are not theocratic, which are not run directly by heads of particular religion. But there are many, I told you that separation between state and religion, it is necessary but not sufficient. Why? Because there are many states which are not theocratic, but which have direct, official, legal, formal alliance with religion or with particular religion. Right? Fine. So hence theocratic state. So theocratic state should be distinguished from a state which officially established a religion, particular religion as a state religion. Right? So let me clarify. There is difference between secular state, theocratic state, and a state which officially recognize a particular religion as a state religion. So secular state is not a theocratic state, and secular meaning there is separation between state and religion. Second, secular state is a state where there is no official recognition of a particular religion. Right? There is no formal legal alliance of state with religion. Now, what are the examples of this type of state? A state which officially established a particular religion as a state religion. Pakistan. Now, in Constitution of Pakistan establishes Sunni Islam, a particular religion, as official state religion. So that's why Pakistan is not a secular state. Why? Because in Pakistan, a state maintains close, official, formal, legal alliance with a particular religion. Right? Fine. Then the state of England in 16th century Europe. State of England in 16th century Europe, it was also a state which has official alliance with Anglican Church. Right? Right? And Anglican religion was an official religion of the state. Right? So let me clarify. There is a difference between theocratic state and state which officially recognizes a particular religion as state religion. Now, in theocratic state is a state which is directly governed by heads of a particular religion. But a state which recognizes a particular religion as an official state religion, it is not governed directly by the heads of a particular religion. No. For example, in Pakistan is not a theocratic state, but Pakistan is a state which has which officially recognizes a particular religion as a state religion. So Pakistan is not a theocratic religion. Why? Because in Pakistan, religious leaders are not the political leaders directly. No. Just because a particular leader is a head of particular religion does not mean that he or she will automatically become the ruler of Pakistan or prime minister or president of the Pakistan. No. So try to understand. We need to differentiate between secular state, theocratic state, and state which has official alliance with particular religion. ये तीन अलग अलग है. Sorry for I'm writing fast. I hope you can read. I'm reading it simultaneously, right? So there are three types of states: secular state, theocratic state, and state which has official alliance with a particular religion. So what is secular state? Secular state is neither a theocratic state nor it establishes a particular religion as an official state religion. Right? So now we know what is secular state. Secular state is a state in which there is separation between state on one hand and religion on the other hand, wherein state will not interfere into the affairs of religion and religion will not interfere into the affairs of state. Right? Meaning state will not be directly run by heads of a particular religion. Second, secular state is a state in which there is no official recognition to one particular religion as a state religion. There is no state religion. For example, in India is a secular state. Why? Because Constitution of India does not officially recognizes a particular religion, say for example Hindu, as an official state religion. No. Whereas Pakistan, it is not a theocratic state. It is not directly run by heads of particular religion. but there is close alliance between religion on one hand and state on other hand. There is official recognition, there is official alliance between religion and state, right? So secular state is a state which is not directly run by heads of particular religion, and secular state is a state which is not in which there is no direct alliance between state and religion. Okay, so understand the difference between theocratic state. In theocratic state there is union between religion and state. Both religious leaders and leaders of the state, they are same. So religion between state and religion. So in theocratic state there is no separation between state and religion whatsoever. Both religion and religious and institution, religious leaders and state rulers, they are one and the same. So in theocratic state there is union between religion and state, whereas a state which establishes a particular religion as an official state religion, there is no union between religion and state. They are separate. Religious leaders are not political leaders, right? But there is close alliance. There is close alliance between religion and state. Okay, alliance. There is difference between union. In theocratic state, there is union between religion and state, and in a state which has which officially recognizes a particular religion, in that state there is alliance, close relationship between political leaders and religious leaders, right? I hope this is clear. Okay, so that's why I always say that the conceptual clarity is very, very important. Okay, now next, now mere separation between state and religion or non establishment of a particular religion as an official state religion, it is not sufficient again. So along with separation between state and religion, okay, we also need a secular state should also be committed towards the principles which are not derived from religious sources. For example, secular state is a state which is committed towards the principles of freedom, equality, peace, harmony, peaceful coexistence, so on and so forth. Alright, so understand this. Okay, so separation of religion and state is necessary but not sufficient ingredient of secular state. Secular state should also be committed to the principles and goals which are at least partly derived from non-religious sources, such as peace, religious freedom, freedom from religiously grounded oppression, discrimination, exclusion, as well as intra-religious and inter-religious equality. That are the characteristics of secular state. So let me enumerate what is secular state. Number one, secular state is a state wherein there is a separation between state and religion. Meaning heads of a particular religion does not directly rule the state. Separation between state and religion, number one. Second, secular state is a state wherein there is no official recognition to particular religion as a state religion. Secular state is a state which does not favor a particular religion at the cost of other religion. There is no official state religion as far as secular state is concerned. Okay? Then third, secular state is a state which is committed to the principles of freedom, peace, equality, tolerance, harmony, so on and so forth. Fourth, secular state is a state which is committed towards intra-religious as well as inter-religious equality. Related to this point, secular state is a state which prohibits intra-religious as well as inter-religious domination. Secular state is a state in which there is no discrimination, there is no persecution, there is no exclusion, there is no violence, only on the basis of one's religious affiliations. For example, India is a secular state. There is separation between state and religion in India. Then there is no official state religion of India, right? Then Article 15 of the Constitution, Article 14 ensures equality before law and equal protection of law. Article 15 of the Constitution, Part 3, Fundamental Rights, it prohibits state to discriminate on the grounds only of religion. Then I told you that secular state is a state which promotes religious equality, religious freedom. So Article 25 of the Constitution, 25 to 28 provides freedom of religion. Then Article 29 to 30 provides cultural and educational rights to minorities. Right? So these are all characteristics of secular state. Okay? So if we value peace, if we value freedom, if we value equality, then state and religion must be separated. Right? But I told you that separation of state and religion, it is necessary but not sufficient. Okay? Along with the separation of state and religion, the secular state must be committed to principles, various principles: freedom from religion, freedom of religion, freedom from religion, freedom within religion, so on and so forth. Right? So now what is the meaning of yes, now we know that secularism meaning separation between state and religion. But what is the meaning of secularism? What is the meaning of separation? Right? Understand that secularism means separation between state and religion, but the form and nature of separation, the nature, form or extent of separation between state and religion cannot be fixed. It cannot be uniform. It cannot be same throughout the world. Right? Let me hear it again. Secularism means separation between state and religion, but this separation between state and religion cannot take a particular form. Right? The nature and extent of separation between state and religion cannot be same everywhere. It depends on the historic context of a particular country. Right? So that's why I told you in the beginning that makes the concept of secularism very contested and debatable. Right? So form and nature and extent of the separation between state and religion can take different forms. It can differ from country to country. So on the basis of this, we are going to discuss two models of secular states or two models of secularism. First is mainstream Western model of secularism. Mainstream Western model of secularism, which is best represented by American state, and second is alternative model of secularism or secular state, which is exemplified by the Indian state. So now we are going to discuss in detail these two models.